What's up, guys? It's episode 10 on the time attack build. Last week we did a ton of underbody work. We did some splitter work. We did some painting, diffuser work. What else did we do? This is Paul in his natural habitat.
We did end plates.
Oh, we did end plates.
It took a while because we had to remake. We had a cut, but we ended up having to remake them because of some errors in our designing.
All right, and we also
Some errors in my designing.
We also figured out that the splitter needed some additional mounting. You can see that without, well, actually it's already mounted.
Yeah, I found that.
But without that tie rod, it's actually a little bit more weak than we would like to see, so we had to improve that. Same with the forward corner. You can see that it moves a decent bit with not too much load, but once this is attached to the chassis, which we reinforced, FT86 Speed Factory's deal, it actually stiffens it up substantially, and we have now put me, Paul, Clay, and Man Bun Mike on the front splitter, and it does not move very much, which makes us happy.
Wanted to take a quick moment to show you one of our production diffusers. This goes to the GT4 front splitter, and this is 100% carbon fiber. Now the units we made for Jeremy's car are fiberglass, and they're a little bit thicker as well. Plenty strong though, but basically that is governed by the production quantity. And because these are one-off custom units, we stuck with fiberglass. These were actually made off of 3D printed molds. First time doing that, really cool process. But I just wanted to show what we're capable of producing and what we've produced for this specific build. Two very different techniques, but the same technology is used in all four of these diffusers. So each one of these has similar technology applied to it. This is just more of a production finished product. This is a quick and dirty, low cost way to make downforce for this specific build. Running a few days behind as far as updates on videos. Clay's been yelling at me about content. But we're in thrashing season, so trying to get this done. Basically, we ended up reusing FT86 Speed Factory's mounts right here, and then we created our own right here to stiffen up this outer portion. And basically, as we were producing the front splitter, we found out that once we cut out the sections in the Alumilite, this section got significantly weaker because you're taking out a lot of structural material there, and the diffusers do not add as much structure as what the Alumilite is. So we basically had to add a few support beams, and we're not worried about that overall. We're really happy with how strong it is. It is a little bit less advantageous on the aero side, but a necessary change. Paul's been working on the end plates recently, and these are also made out of Alumilite, fabricated. And then today we're going to be cutting the end plates to fit the bumper. We're going to be cutting the bumper to fit this support rod, and ensuring that the wheels basically are able to turn and not hit the diffusers.
All right, moving to the, you're not supposed to see the fender liner stuff. That's stuff for 11. All right, so moving to the underbody, we have two, I guess you can call them engine or transmission underbody panels. These are connected in a few locations to the chassis, and then most of the ones that you see like that, they're actually connecting them together with a little small sheet metal bracket and some riv nuts. We've seen some questions about this. This is a NACA duct that's not really a NACA duct according to Paul. Paul's very crucial about his NACA duct styles and designs.
They're very critical.
They're very critical.
They are very critical on what they consider
A NACA duct. Anyway, that goes to the transmission oil cooler. Basically, it's a very small cooler. For the sequential gearbox, we felt like we should include something there, even though time attack cars don't stay running for too long. Should have 3 laps, out lap, race, come back home. We installed some steering lock spacers to basically limit how much the wheels turn so that they don't destroy the diffusers or the fender liners that we're creating. On track, Jeremy won't even notice this. The only time he'll notice it is when he's hard parking.
All right, I'm gonna be doing the install on the steering rack limiters on this side. We're using 4 per side. Basically, we're gonna start by removing this. And I ended up breaking, I just break them. And then basically pull this boot back, and then we're gonna install the limiters on the shaft, as you'll see in a second. They just snap into place like that. And then basically as you turn the wheel, the end right there will actually butt all these up into the rack and limit how much the wheel can turn. Final install is assembling the boot back on and then applying or installing our worm gear clamp that goes in place there. Alright, so basically we were having some slight interference issues with the tire because Jeremy runs some really big Hoosiers hitting the diffusers. So we're installing some of our steering rack limiters, which we include in our brake cooling kit, to limit the amount of how much he can turn. Sorry, Jeremy, race cars don't need to turn. So to show you how much it changes, we can kind of show you the gap here. We got about 3 fingers, and this is in the air. It changes when it's on the ground, but there's about 3 fingers here, and then you'll see on the other side how close it is. I can maybe 1.5 fingers to the frame. So that's what those do. All right, so we are working on possibly installing the under panels for the last time. So I wanted to show you basically what we did. These are multiple pieces of Alumilite in the front so that they can work on the engine easier and quicker than taking off multiple pieces. But ultimately, we just created brackets or installed rivet nuts in OEM locations. So I believe all 4 of these locations used to be M8, but they're now M6 as we drilled them out and time sorted them. You could probably also do a rivet nut there. We have a non-NACA duct for the transmission. And then in between each of the panels, they have a bracket on the top side similar to this and this that get rivet nuts, and then that keeps the panels together. That was all basically hand fabricated by Paul. All right, so we have installed half of the flat underbody panel now, giving you kind of view of it from the bottom. All of these points are OEM locations that we just drilled larger and then put rivet nuts in it. Paul is setting up on the second piece with a bunch of spacers and the machined bungs that we talked about a little bit earlier, so that side can go up, and then we will have a completely flat floor. Pretty excited about that. Try to grab a picture of the top side so you can kind of see, but it's really dark on the camera, so you can't really tell.
Moving rearward to the diffuser. We adopted our off-the-shelf diffuser to the underbody panel. It has the correct angle of attack, not too much, not too little, according to our CFD. Paul did actually run it at various angles of attack to see if it improved much, and it did not. So it works similar to the stock body FRS BRZ rear diffuser in that respect.
All right, so we are working on bolting our off-the-shelf diffuser to the underbody panel at this point. Basically, we're creating some brackets that will go to the sway bar mounts and lower it a little bit more than what our off-the-shelf unit offers, and then we'll probably end up remaking the rear brackets. That's what we're working on right now. All right, so we have basically created our flat underbody, but there's a nice big gaping hole here. Jeremy doesn't run an exhaust to the rear, so we're gonna fill it in with our, what we call the OEM diffuser, or OEM exhaust diffuser cover. So I'll be doing that real quick. Basically, it's a bent piece of sheet metal that we developed to utilize when the OEM exhaust or similar exhausts are used, and it basically just covers that hole. So we're gonna do that real quick. And the OEM exhaust cover is now installed. Figured I'd save you the trouble of watching me struggle, but it's basically fully installed. The only little gap is right there, and we're gonna let that be because we're not worried about it. We added another bolt so that the Illuminate panel bolts right there and covers both the two pieces and kind of connects them a little better. But there you have it.
All right, so basically we developed this splitter quick disconnect system to basically work as 2 bolts. You undo 2 bolts and the entire splitter comes off because you have to take it off to get it on and off trailers and whatnot. Now you'll have to remove a few extra, but overall it's a really simple splitter to remove. Go ahead, guys. Oh gosh. So then the whole splitter comes down and you can go back on.
Are you on? What are you doing, man bun? There we go. She's back on.
So that's all it takes. Cool.
Close her out. It's a crap check.
All right, guys, we got to get back to work. We got, I don't know, 7 days to finish this. I apologize for the mess, but again, we're in freak out mode.
Don't apologize for messes.
I apologize. Anyways, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hopefully you'll tune in to next week's, and then we'll probably be doing some track testing with it later on this year. Thanks, guys.